Ladies and gentlemen, we interrupt your regularly scheduled programming to bring you this special bulletin. It appears that more and more as the days and weeks and months go by, so many insiders are coming out of the woodworks to talk to YouTube content creators, becoming almost better journalists than the mainstream media. These insiders coming out and leaking information, and we only have, well, the word of the likes of Smash JT and Endymion to take it with you with a grain of salt or take them at their word. When you are a content creator and you start running your mouth like I do on the internet, you only have your credibility to go off of. But with the track record that Smash JT and Endymion have been on, I think it's about high time we start paying a little bit more attention to what they're saying. Again, as usual, we're going to get into a rumor given out by Endymion, and take it, as always, take it with a grain of salt. Make your own decisions, but it's information that definitely needs to be talked about. In this case, over at that Park Place, this is rumor control. Disney forces Quantic Dream to erase white characters from upcoming Star Wars Eclipse video game. Pressure is on from alleged sweet baby puppet masters. Why is this? Why are they continuously coming up in the news when it comes to mainstream video games? They're trying to get their grubby little mitts, their little claws, infesting as many avenues, as many developer studios as they possibly can, hiding behind the scenes, hiding behind one company or another as the developing companies attempt to remove Sweet Baby from their websites, and as Sweet Baby themselves attempts to move their collaborations from their websites. But as we all know, the internet is forever. But let's keep going. M. Monterano comes in with this when insiders close to the development of Star Wars Eclipse video, which apparently I remember another article I read said they showed off their trailer in 2021, 3 years ago. My goodness, how long before this game even comes out? Let's see. Video game has come forward to blow the whistle. Got a lot of those coming out of the woodworks lately. Disney and Lucasfilm's alarming mandate that all white playable characters be eliminated from the upcoming title. Now, while I did say take this with a grain of salt, it is a rumor. It is unfortunately, again, based on the track record of video games being pumped out by these AAA studios. It is exceptionally believable. But again, you make your own decision. This scoop comes from YouTuber creator Endymion, who's making a bit of a name for himself, to say the least, who spoke with a number of sources close to Quantic Dream and Disney Lucasfilms for more than 2 hours. According to these sources, the game could be in development for another 5 years. It was announced 3 years ago, so 8 years. 8 years in development, more than likely, based on other information of other AAA titles. $200 million in budget. That right there doesn't look good. But let's see what we have to say. Despite a strong story and narrative elements that Endymion claims are worth getting excited over, well, again, to this point, well, who knows? 5 years from now, maybe things will be back to normal, and this DEI, this forced, inorganic diversity and inclusion and equity will be a thing of the past. But I have my doubts. Inserted DEI mandates into the game's production because it's Disney, mandating that there be ample inclusion of pride values which make no sense in a Star Wars universe in a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, and no white playable characters. Really? I've said this on social media, I've said this in videos, and I'll say it again here, and I'm sure Endymion and Smash JT and others like us, I'm pretty sure even Hypnotic would agree with me. Prove us wrong, god damn it! Prove us wrong. Instead of constantly going out, insulting us, berating us with our assumptions, with our conclusions, with the idea that 1 red flag, 2 red flag, 3 red flags, this pattern recognition that we are going through over and over again. Where you say, oh, you're wrong, you're just a man baby, you hate everything. No, we just want to be entertained. We want your story to make sense. We want the dialogue to make sense. And we want the world building to be there. We want the game to be fun. Make it fun first, fuckers, and prove us wrong. We are begging you with every fiber of our soul. I would prefer to be wrong about every single title that I've talked about. And it sounds like, with all the speculation with Indiana Jones and The Great Circle, I believe, I would be playing it right now, but I'm not forking up extra money to get into the early access. From what I'm hearing, with a little bit of mixed reviews, but mostly positive, there was speculation based on everything that was going around with the review embargo not being lifted until the day before early access, that game was going to be yet more ideologically driven nonsense. But, again, what I'm hearing, that may not be the case. And instead of bitching and moaning and groaning, and all the people sitting there pointing their fingers at us saying, ha ha, I told you so, you big man baby. No, we're going to celebrate. We're going to celebrate the release of a fun game, if indeed it is fun. I will find out for myself once full release goes into effect on Xbox Game Pass, because I'm not giving it any extra money. So we shall see, but we're begging you, prove us wrong. Continuing on with the article. I'm going to go ahead and post a link to the Endymion's full video for sure, as well as this article, so you can go listen to it for yourself. Quote, here's what Endymion said. From what I was told, there was originally about 2 white playable characters in the game, but that has also now changed as well. I wasn't told names of the characters or anything, but there's only 1 white woman in the trailer. This character is no longer a white woman anymore. Y'all, are they going to explain the change there when the next trailer comes out? I wonder. Of course not. This character is no longer a white woman anymore. She was one of the playable characters, but Disney apparently forced Quantic to make her a black woman, citing that they were completely against white representation within the game, which really doesn't make sense, because why don't you just do organic representation? Here's an idea. I don't know. Make a character creator. Do that. Give people the choice to make whatever character they want, melanin or non-melanin content. Citing that they were completely against white representation in the game, the only other white character, from what I'm told, is a man who ends up getting gravely injured and becomes a cyborg or some sort of robot. Sounds interesting. According to Endymion sources, Disney refused to allow any heroic white representation in Eclipse whatsoever. Which is, well, if this is true, again, rumor control, ladies and gentlemen, grain of salt, all that stuff. If that is true, you're going to turn people away because, well, we've been bitten entirely too many times. Wallets are closed until reviews come out. Wallets are closed until trusted content creators, reviewers, and YouTubers across the board, not like IGN, but trusted, honest reviewers instead of the bought and paid for shills that Disney likes to employ. Until those people put their money where their mouth is, play the game, and show you exactly what they see and give their opinion, then I suspect this game will go the same route as all the other ideologically driven drivel that has come out this year. This mandate came directly from the company. Not really a surprise. Again, extraordinarily believable. Also, Endymion revealed the pride-centric advocacy group GLAAD, which has apparently been providing marching orders to studios throughout the entertainment world and narrative design companies like Sweet Baby Inc. I couldn't care less about your diversity and inclusion and equity as long as it makes sense in the game you are presenting. And people are going to get tired of me bringing up Cyberpunk 2077, but it is what it is. It made sense in that game, all of it. And it was diversity, inclusion, und equity. It was all there from beginning to end. You could make your own character. You could make a trans character. You could have lesbian and gay or homosexual male relationships. It was it was filled with what people would call woke talking points. But they made it fun for, well, okay, except for the release, but that was a buggy, god-awful mess. The story was still fun. The side missions were still fun, and the city was still beautiful. Night City is amazing. Now, it just wasn't on the nose, in your face, hitting you over the head, being preachy and lecturing anyone about anything. It all made sense. Why can't these developing studios understand this and do that too? Make it fun first, add all the rest of the crap in you want to afterwards, as long as it makes sense. For one, Endymion said, GLAAD has allegedly been behind the shift towards more genderless, diverse content. What does that even mean? Genderless, diverse content. Are we making up new words again? Working with companies like Sweet Baby Stench to make sure the gaming industry falls in line. Do as you are told. Don't ask questions. Just consume product and get excited for next product. Quote, Glad, as I'm told, has insane amounts of power, which they shouldn't, when it comes to what they want to see in media. Just be entertaining. Please, just be entertaining. Endymion said in his report, was so much so that they can even stand shoulder to shoulder with places like Disney when it comes to injecting DEI into content going forward. You would think such a powerhouse that Disney used to be, and Warner Brothers, you could sit there and turn to these people and say, no, kiss my ass, get to stepping. We're going to make something entertaining, and it's going to be diverse naturally. But they would have to start with merit. Actually get the people qualified for the job, qualified to write a compelling story with interesting characters, and slide in the diversity afterwards. The check boxes should be at the end, at the very end of what you need to do, and they should make sense. And I just, I keep saying that. I don't know. I understand. I do apologize, but it's so frustrating. As I said in my previous video, Rockstar is riddled with DEI, and there is some concern, of course, with what Rockstar is going to do with Grand Theft Auto 6, but that's a whole nother video. And let's see. It's riddled with the DEI, and from this same source, they told me that Rockstar is also very heavily invested and influenced by the power of GLAAD. Isn't that just wonderful? He goes on to say that Disney via Lucasfilm and its much maligned studio head, Kathleen Kennedy, who's gonna die in that position, are moving Star Wars, well, unless, of course, you talk to Mike Zero, who's maybe right once or twice, but a broken clock. Anyway, are moving Star Wars even further away from traditional family values. They're injecting pride, ideology, and identity politics into all projects moving forward, and that is where you are going to fail, because these sorts of projects, outside of, not being interesting stories for the vast majority of the audience, they do not age well. That was the great thing about the original Star Wars trilogy. It was a timeless story with relatable characters from beginning to end across all generations. People continue to say that Star Wars was for kids. No, George Lucas made it for people, for the audience, for families, where people of all ages, all genders, all ethnicities, I can't talk, were able to enjoy the story and relate to the characters no matter what part of the planet they were from. Because if that were not true, it would not be such a massively popular IP up until Disney bought it. It would have failed, much like Lord of the Rings, much like Doctor Who, much like Star Trek. These stories, these intellectual properties, these massive franchises have a fandom across the globe long before this ideological nonsense was ever shoved down our throats. So, what's the reason? It's because they were good stories that stood the test of time. People were able to relate to them, regardless of where they were from. Continuing with the article, Endymion notes that there's a board within Lucasfilm composed of Kathleen Kennedy loyalist cronies, which is why when Kathleen Kennedy goes, absolutely nothing's going to change. Cronies that have the power to veto any project involving Star Wars IP. Well, I mean, to be fair, it is Lucasfilms. They should have the final deciding power to veto anything and everything, because it is. But regardless, it's the loyalist cronies. It's the people who have the imagination of a thumbtack. Apparently, they're incredibly hands-on in one particular area. Disney would make demands to Quantic Dreams to enforce things like What is non-gendered presentation within Eclipse? Non-gendered? Are they just androgynous bodies, Ken and Barbie? Well, mostly a Ken doll. Like, what is going on? What does that exactly mean? I'm going to have to look that up. What this means is, Disney mandated that Quantic Dream add stuff like male aliens and female clothing. Can we just be entertaining, please? Endymion also revealed that Eclipse takes place in the High Republic era. Yay! Everyone's favorite era in Star Wars. It was such a massive success when it comes to what? The comic books, the novels, weren't they just best-selling era of Star Wars literature? Much like the canceled Disney Plus series, The Acolyte, which was trash. 300 years before the birth of Luke Skywalker. can we go further back? Let's go further back. Instead of the High Republic, let's do the Old Republic. The Jedi and the Sith were plentiful. Force users were plentiful during the Old Republic. You could do struggles. You could do stories of war anywhere you wanted during that era because, well, that's what was taking place. Quote continues, the goal of Eclipse, according to sources, was a broader initiative by Disney as a whole. They want to reduce what Star Wars is to the audience at large. Really? Oh, redefine. I said reduce. They want to redefine what Star Wars is to the audience at large. There are multiple projects that are part of this initiative. The first being, of course, The Acolyte, which was trash from beginning to end, which uninspiringly is also in the High Republic era. Again, trash setting. Eclipse is also part of this agenda going forward too. As I'm told, the goal here is to transition Star Wars from what it was, which was an exceptionally well-done story that everyone could relate to, into an exclusively non-white, non-straight future going forward. And if you continue down this path, first of all, you're going to ostracize families. They're going to move away from it and go find something more entertaining. A lot of people are moving over to manga and anime and whatnot for their family stories, their interesting stories, their well-defined characters with actual journeys. And if you continue to go down the exclusively non-white, well, if it doesn't make sense, considering the world that is Star Wars, that is supposed to be diverse on its own, well, again, you're going to continue to push the fans away that made Star Wars what it was and made it successful. And eventually, that golden goose you cooked for Thanksgiving dinner is going to be gone. Instead of nurturing it and letting it lay the golden eggs, you killed it, you cooked it, now you're serving us the burnt leftovers. This is ridiculous. Again, take this as a rumor, take this as you will with a grain of salt and whatever. But again, Endymions, much like Smash JT, they've been on a roll as of late with their reporting. Not everyone can batting 1,000. Not everyone can be 100%, but again, we shall see what happens with this game, as I'm sure there will be more and more information as the days and the years and the months go by. Got to mix that all up. But we will yet one more thing to keep an eye on. We'll have to wait and see. Let me know what you think in the comments section down below. Again, I will have the links to Endymion's video as well as that Park Place article in the description box down below. Go give it a look, give it a watch, and I hope to see you on the next one. Bye-bye.